Hello, welcome back to the Early Bar Football Podcast. I think this is episode 34 or 35. Does anyone actually know?
It's 34.
It's 34, great age. Okay, fantastic. We're back. It's episode 34. There's so much. We've got so much. We were just going through pre-pod what we're going to discuss, and there were so many. There were at least 6 different things that we could talk about, and then the list. There you go. 6. Thanks, Ash.
I literally nearly put 7 fingers up then. It's going to be a dodgy pod from me.
Every day is a school day. So we have, so much to get through, and let's just do it. But first, I'll introduce who I'm joined by, and that's Chris. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Mr. Tang. I'm very happy about the events that transpired last night. The prediction king, myself.
Oh, I thought you were talking about when we got promoted on pro clubs. That was the event.
There was that as well, which was that was just the cherry on top, really, weren't it? But, yeah. Obviously, we'll come on to Senegal winning the African Cup of Nations.
Of course. Jack, hello, how are you? And do you even want to talk about AFCON? Like, it's not great.
Not really. I mean, my prediction, wow. I'm not sure if they were the first to be eliminated, but they were one of the first few teams to be eliminated. So Algeria didn't have a very good team.
Predictions are predictions, mate. You can't know everything. We're not all nerds like Chris, but we're not going to nerd shame here. Sorry, Chris. And Ash, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you doing, Ting?
I'm very well. I'll tell you what just happened. I had an ASOS delivery that was due tomorrow, and instead of having it delivered to my house, I had it delivered to like a shop around the corner that did like those Amazon locker type stuff.
Yeah.
But I was in the shower just now, and I got a text to say all my stuff has arrived. So I was like, I'll just go get it. But I just washed my hair as well. So I went out with wet hair, and I feel like that's an old wives' tale of something not to do, especially in the winter when it's cold. So I don't know if I'm going to get a headache or if something's really going to bad happen to me. Is that a thing, or is that just my mum told me that?
I think that's an old wives' tale, mate.
Yeah.
Although, watch this space for the next 45 minutes to an hour to see if anything terrible happens.
Anything could happen. I went out with literally a wet head full of hair. It was terrible scenes. But who knows what will happen. But that's me. I've got all the clothes fit and stuff though, and I'm wearing the shoes now. Let me try and. Here's the shoes. I'm wearing them.
I've still got the label on it.
Yeah, I've still got the label on it. I know because I picked them up about 20 minutes ago, and I've got my fluffy socks on as well. Because I'm in the office tomorrow, and I'm going to have to wear them, and I didn't really want to. I need to bed them in a little bit, wear them in.
Was it used to do with football boots? Wear them in the bath, wasn't it?
I never did that.
I never did that either.
No.
That's how you mould it around your feet with the water. How it's
no, you have to laugh.
No, honestly. Well, that's I've been absolutely fooled for the last.
someone's taking a piss out of you there, mate.
To be fair though, Jack, you were and are the best footballer out of us 4, I would say. So who knows? Maybe that's the.
Maybe I'll be I don't know. Maybe I've been told something.
Someone told you a dream. Sold you a dream.
I've spent the last 25 years sat in the bath with boots on.
Just nothing on apart from
just my boots. Yeah,
just your mercurials on.
Yeah.
Oh God! Wow. With that mental image in mind, the first thing we can talk about is we won a mystery shirt giveaway. It's one of those things. Yeah, massive claps, massive cheers. It's one of those things where I thought only people with the most followers would win it. A company would run a competition, pick the person with the most subscribers or followers, and be like, hey, you won, post us on your channel, and it's free advertising. But we won, which was huge. So here's the shirt. I'm going to stand up here. Look at this. So this is
beautiful.
Club Atlético Mineiros in Brazil. It's sponsored. Look at that. Not sponsored. It's made by Le Coq Sportif. Look at that. And it's a map, I think, of Brazil.
I'd hope so if it's a Brazilian team.
I think it's Brazil. I don't think it's the whole of South America. But
are they Brazilian counties or something?
I think
the boundaries?
I actually got this is from Surprise Shirt. So if you remember the secret shirt thing that we did for the Christmas special, Ash, were you the guy that had surprise shirts?
I was the guy.
Yeah. So I've got one of these. Was yours laminated?
No, I feel bad about complaining about the box now. No, we're their biggest fans.
I've got a laminate. I love surprise shirts now, so shout out to surprise shirts. Got a laminated strip of text here. They're a Brazilian football team based in the southeastern city of Belo Horizonte. Their home capacity at it doesn't say their ground name, is 61,846, which is quite a lot of fans, right?
That's massive.
The club won the Serie A, so very similar to Italy, for the first time since 1971 last year. And Hulk scored 19 goals that season. Remember
Was that the
Hulk?
one they had? Diego Costa has played for the same team. And was it Costa and Hulk they had up front?
Can someone fact check that?
I'm pretty sure it was Diego Costa.
I believe it was those two. Yeah.
And also,
Chris is
there's a question about the shirt. Is it like?
Yeah.
You can always tell with the. I was like the sewn on badges. Is it a sewn on badge or is it an iron on?
Sewn on. I don't know how I'm going to prove
Good.
this to you, but it is sewn on. Look at that.
It's the only thing that annoys me about modern shirts is when they iron the bloody like the stuff on, because after like 3 washes, it's all gone.
It's an unbelievable sewing job.
Good.
This is the Manto de Massa shirt. I don't know what that means, but it is a thing. So it's a lovely shirt. I love the collar design, very nice, and it's got gold writing here. Don't know what
Is
it
it a
says.
special edition, Tang, or is it a shirt that actually?
It's a special edition shirt.
Okay.
This shirt is regarded by many, including All At Surprise Shirts, as one of the most aesthetically pleasing football shirts of all time. Bold claim, massively bold
Huge
claim.
That's huge.
But it makes up for me getting the Sevilla shirt that you can get from Lebanon direct for like £5 in the Christmas special. And even at the end, it says, "Congratulations on winning our giveaway and enjoy your shirt." So very personalised. Very personalised. So that's it. Thank you to Surprise Shirts. That was the right company. Yeah, thank you to Surprise Shirts. Don't want to get the wrong one, but great. So make sure I'll put a link in the description below, potentially. I should have done that before. We'll do it afterwards, and you can go check out their website. But anyway, let's move on to actual football talk and not just me gloating that I won a shirt for doing very minimal work. It's that Senegal have won the AFCON. I don't know if any of you guys watched the game yesterday, but there was a lot of drama, to be honest. And there's a penalty shootout. I think Mane scored the winning penalty, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
And there was a whole rigmarole of Mo Salah not taking a penalty, which is mad because considering Salah takes penalties at Liverpool have been one of the best teams in the world for quite a while now, I would say, and he's not taken a penalty, even though fifth is like, it's a thing. But surely you'd want your best players, arguably one of the best players in the world in the last 18 months or so, to take a penalty just to get it done, I think Ronaldo may have had that for Portugal. Was it against Spain, maybe, where he didn't take a penalty? I can't remember that.
2016.
Yeah, I feel something like that happened. But Chris, you are the podcast's resident African expert, according to your prediction. What did you think about the game and AFCON in general? I'm going to go put a hoodie on because it's freezing in my house because the radiator doesn't work. So just chat.
The wet hair's kicking in.
The wet hair's kicking in.
It's bad. But no, carry on, Chris.
The symptoms are kicking in. The game itself, I watched the first half and it was a typical Carlos Queiroz Housery performance from Egypt. I mean, they were literally time wasting from like the 15th minute. It was pretty. I wouldn't say embarrassing. I think that would be a bit of a harsh word to say, but it was a bit. Come on. I mean, I know you got a bit of a game plan, but let's make a bit of a game out of it. And that, I mean, I think obviously Senegal did deserve to win it, like from the game. And that I know Mane missed a penalty after 5 minutes as well. I mean. It was one of them where he just didn't get it in the corner. He hit the power behind it, but it was a good save from Gabaski. And I want to talk about Gabaski because, like, fair play to him. He was second choice keeper going into the tournament for Egypt. They lost their first choice keeper, and Gabaski come in, and he was.
What happened to their first choice keeper?
I can't remember which game he got injured in, but he got injured in one of the games, and obviously Gabaski come on for him. And that, and like like I say, he's brilliant. He's been hero of, I think 1 or 2 penalty shootouts, and that. I know he was hero when they played in the semi-final.
Ash, did you say he saved like 8 penalties this tournament or something? Was that fake?
It was a lot. He saved. I think it's more than 5. So I'll tell you 8. I think that might be true.
I'll
He
fact
saved
check
a lot
that
of
for you.
penalties.
Yeah,
Get
But,
fact check UK on that.
but yeah, like the tournament as itself, it started off really cagey, didn't it? Like most games finished either 0-0, 1-0, 2-1, and that, and then it started like kicking off like with more goals now after the second round of games. And like I said, like before the tournament started, AFCON is a very enjoyable tournament from a neutral point of view because like lots of things happen and you just don't know what is going to happen. Like you
Well,
see,
Stephen Corker just ends up turning up.
yeah,
For,
I mean Stephen,
is it Sierra Leone he was playing for?
yeah, Stephen Corker playing for Sierra Leone, like you said. Obviously, I'm going to rub it into Ginge a bit more. Algeria being knocked out in the group stages. Ghana getting knocked out in the group stage as well. I mean, I can imagine Thomas Work event was disappointed. But
Chris Hughton might be the manager of Ghana.
yeah, I know.
Twitter account on Twitter. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, that'd be unbelievable if he became manager. But even like obviously the smaller nations or the nations that aren't well renowned for football, like doing well, like Comoros, Gambia, and to a certain extent Burkina. Although to be fair, like Burkina Faso have improved a lot, like throughout the years, like they have progressed further and further in recent years. And like even before Potter, I can't believe this is Senegal's first title. Like you look at some of the squads they've had in, especially like recent years. So you think like World Cup 2002, like they knocked out France, and bear in mind France were the reigning world and European champions at the time. And to think like that Senegal team didn't win the African Cup of Nations, it's unbelievable. But yeah, fair play to. I think it's Aliou Cisse is their coach. Fair play to him and fair play to the squad. I think they deserved the win.
Well done. And now to someone who didn't get their prediction for AFCON quite as right as Chris. Jack, I don't really know where to start. I don't really want to rub it in any way. But also, I'll let you take the reign for this. What do you think in terms of AFCON?
I thought it was like a very entertaining tournament generally. Like talking of the whole tournament as a whole, I thought there was had everything, didn't it? Had the most bizarre things happen, but it also had some like fantastic goals. And it was, I don't really want to talk about Algeria, among other nations. But like Chris sort of touched on it, like there was a lot of, you'd say the bigger names massively underperformed. And there was a lot of sort of nations that you didn't expect to do so well that sort of come out of nowhere and like shocked a lot of people. So I think those are the tournaments that are really good when you get the unsurprising results. And even though it didn't do me any favours, the unsurprising results, because Algeria got knocked out, but I think for the whole tournament it was a very good balanced tournament, I think.
Yeah, I think we said sort of pre or when the tournament first started, anyone can sort of win it potentially, or the playing field is a bit more level than say the Euros or anything like that. So
it's been, I must admit I haven't watched every game, but I mean the highlights and the games that I have watched have always been incredibly entertaining. I always thought, so like you said, it's literally you never know what could happen.
Yeah.
Team could be like 2-0 down 86th minute and they could win 3-2. It was just bonkers, some of the things that happen, and it's like unbelievably like sort of in like Europe, you sort of there's the teams that are like renowned for like the sort of like style of play, like the Italians very compact.
Yeah,
there's a lot of the teams in the African Cup of Nations is just so like gung ho, sort of attacking, like literally just get the ball, like everyone breaks forward, and then the other team get it, and they all run forward, and it's just like so end to end. But
when
so
I watch the highlights, it's just like 3 or 4 minutes, just people sprinting from one end to the other. It's never jogging.
Apart from the final, which I didn't watch, but I watched some of the highlights, and it was a bit of a part of the bus job. But all the other games, most of the other games I watched were really entertaining. So I thought it was overall a pretty good tournament.
Fantastic. Ash, in terms of tournaments that you've ever watched and consumed, was this up there, or is it recency bias?
Yeah, I'm going to go with no.
It's such a broad question. I just thought I'd throw it at you.
Considering we've had recently England, reaching a semi-final and a final of recent tournaments, it's hard to say that this sort of compares to that. I know obviously bias as an England fan. I did think this tournament was entertaining, and it had some like sensational moments, like the boys said, and some moments that were just sort of comical and entertaining. Obviously, like you've all said, you've got that thing with AFCON is that you lay all the teams out at the start of the tournament and you have no idea who's going to win. I think that's pretty much unique to AFCON. There's a bit of a hierarchy of teams, but it's more two-tier. You have some big teams and you have some smaller teams. You don't have like these real elite teams that are going to go far in the tournament. So I think that makes it a really entertaining tournament. But I think the final sort of summed it up a bit, where it was just a really boring game. As Chris said, Carlos Queiroz set up his team just to defend and pure S-housery for 90 minutes. And to be fair, Egypt did that pretty much the whole tournament. Barely scored any goals. We had a lot of 0-0s and 1-0s at the start. I think, like you said, after the group stage, it did pick up a bit. And then obviously we had the terrible incident of the crash outside the stadium and people dying. So I feel like it's difficult to say it was a good tournament after those kind of things happening. But purely from a football perspective, I feel like AFCON always lives up to the bill in terms of giving you a fun sort of different kind of football that you wouldn't watch elsewhere. So yeah, it was a good tournament, but I wouldn't say it compared to any recent tournaments that I've seen.
Fantastic. And, it'd be interesting to see the Manes, the Salahs, etc., when they come back to the Premier League, if they are just going to pick it up straight away again, or if they're going to take some time. They might be a bit, I don't know, not jet lagged, but just a bit tired from, playing a tournament in the middle of the season. I wonder how that will affect teams. I did see Watford congratulate, I think it was Ismaila Sarr, wasn't it? Was it Sarr?
Yeah.
Even though they didn't want him to go to the tournament.
I was just like, don't know about that, lads. A bit of a sketch one there, but
What did you boys think of the? I saw a bit of a debate on social media, and they're talking about it on Sky Sports as well, about where you should put your best penalty taker, whether you should have it in. Because I think Salah was the fifth penalty taker for Egypt, and he didn't get to take it, and Mane was also the fifth penalty taker for Senegal, and obviously he did get to take it and won Senegal the tournament. I just wondered what you boys thought. What's your best place in terms of where you can put a penalty taker? Does it make any difference? I'm not even sure.
For me, I would always go first because I think it sets a precedence.
Yeah.
The only reason I think that you're starting to see players take the fifth is because usually it's like the poster boy penalty, isn't it? If they win the game. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like if Salah just goes and bangs in the fifth penalty, wins the tournament, that's the photo that everyone's going to see, isn't it?
Yeah.
So sort of I don't know if it's actually something that they plan, or whether Salah requests to be fifth, or whether the manager thinks it's best. I don't know whether it's a tactical decision or whether it's purely for I don't know, press, or just wanting to be the poster boy.
It's maybe like Salah. Maybe it's about pressure. Maybe it's like Salah. He's done it on the biggest stage. The fifth penalty could be the most pressured one. He can deal with it, type thing. You could look at it that way, but surely you want your best players to score and wrap it up or set the precedence, as you said, Jack. I don't know. It's a bit of an odd one. Chris, do you have any views on it?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, obviously, Mane was that said post ball that Jim was saying. That obviously he took the fifth penalty for Senegal and scored, but I'd definitely go top three, because they're the three penalties that you're at least guaranteed in a penalty shootout is the top three penalties. Obviously, you don't lose the game after three penalties, and that. So I'd definitely go 1, 2, or 3 in terms of putting my best penalty taker in them positions, just so it's less of a risk as well in that sense. And
as long as you're not putting a centre back on penalties. Unless that's penalties.
Koulibaly and Diallo, both are Senegal centre backs, were first and second, and they took good penalties. Both scored.
Take good penalties.
Do not forget Sol Bamba and Dale Fry banging them in for Middlesbrough on Friday night. But I'm sure we might come on to that later.
Of course, and the penalty, the subgenre of the taking the penalties and the who's kicking in it and who's taking them is quite interesting. Maybe there should be study or something into that. Someone do a deep dive into that. Maybe do a special on penalties. I don't know how much we get out of that.
I think it's hard to judge it, because I think it's more penalties are there's no element of skill really involved. I think it's more mentality, because I think the level that like we play football at, then there is a skill element involved, because there's a chance you might just miss it because you're shit.
Yeah.
But when you're sort of playing like the professional game,
if you haven't
like,
put your boots in the bath, you might miss
you might it might end up in the hedge behind the goal. But the level that they're playing at, that there's no they should be hitting the target. So it's not really the actual skill element. It's not really important. It's more the mentality, I think, and the pressure environment.
Now that I'm thinking about it, if I could change, you get those questions like, if you could change one rule in football, what would it be? I think random number generator on penalty kicks. I think that, of the 11 people on the field.
Put it on the big screen.
It's just like
the national lottery.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just someone with like a big
just get
Mo Salah. Okay, yeah.
If it's like Scottish football, we just got Rod Stewart.
After
a few drinks, just
yeah.
And it was like, John McGinn, you're taking a penalty.
That would the entertainment would be fantastic, but I think the pressure would be like unbelievable for the players, wouldn't it?
They get paid enough, right? I think that's an absolutely fantastic idea. Can you imagine? Like, I don't know.
I feel like it's more of a game show. Like, I can see Stephen Mulhern being up there, like presenting. And who's taking the penalty next? We'll find out after the break.
Yeah, that'll be.
At the deck, it might be you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fred, it's not you.
God, it'd be a very long penalty shootout, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I think we've really stumbled upon something there. Unbelievable. But yeah, we'll leave penalties, and we'll work on that behind the scenes and come back with a full approach and strategy towards that, because I think that's a money maker. Let's move. I was going to go to the FA Cup, but it makes sense to keep it on. I've just got an email. Oh my god. Okay. Close my Outlook. Let's bring it to the Euros. Stay at regional competitions, because today there was an article that the UK and the Republic of Ireland are planning or have agreed to submit a joint bid for Euro 2028. And there was something about whether they were going to choose whether to do Euro 2028 or the World Cup 2030. And they've decided Euro 2028. I've just read here on bbc.co.uk, BBC Sport, that there was a £2.8 million feasibility study to see whether the UK and the Republic of Ireland could actually put in a bid for the World Cup. And that £2.8 million bid study said no. So do the Euros instead. I don't know, 2.8 million. Who could you buy for 2.8 million? I'm just trying to think. It's like I don't know. It's like a low-end Championship player, isn't it? Maybe an aging one. I don't know. Or maybe a League One player.
Yeah, Cameron Brannigan, pay at Blackpool.
Yeah.
Didn't Will Grigg cost $3 million, didn't he? That's a few years ago.
So that wouldn't even get you Will Grigg. That's unbelievable when you think about it. 2.8 million. But yeah, Chris, what do you think? You raised a really interesting point about host nations. Did you want to just share that with the boys and we get Jack?
Yeah, I don't know what you boys think, but how would like the host nations thing work? Would all four of the UK teams and Republic of Ireland all qualify, because technically they are all hosting? And because I can imagine, obviously, London, you'd have Wembley and maybe like the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and that. And obviously, Wales, you have the Millennium, maybe Cardiff City.
Kasam.
Yeah, Kasam possibly.
The county ground as well, obviously.
No, obviously, like Scotland, like you pick any three stadiums in Glasgow, to be fair, Hampden Park, and that. But obviously, more for like the team side of it, it's kind of like, well, are they just going to gift 5 places to all 5 of the host nations, or would they have to say, all right, you 5 are going to have to go through qualifying?
Maybe like a mini tournament. I don't know. What do you boys think?
I'm just stuck on the question of what's worth more money, like the COVID. Not COVID. No, that's in my mind. The signing of Will Grigg by Sunderland for $3 million, or the study into whether we should hold the World Cup or not. I feel like the Will Grigg's more of a waste of money, probably, on the evidence of his performances at Sunderland. But I don't even know why we're bothering to apply for this Euros, given the sort of shit show that was the sort of hosting the latter stage of the last tournament at Wembley. Like, surely we don't have that much credibility in the bank when it comes to tournament hosting and officiating. I'm pretty sure we've got a stadium ban coming up, England anyway. So maybe, why not just have it in an Ireland and do Ireland and Northern Ireland? They probably haven't got the stadium capacity, and maybe have a game in Wales and just not bother with England.
I think you're right about I think there has to be an element of like, sort of. Obviously every nation wants to host it, but they've sort of also got to look at it as like realistically as like who can actually have the capacity. I don't know the Irish League, but I don't know many stadiums apart from the National Stadium that has anything over. I mean, does the National Stadium even have a 20,000? Is it even 20,000 or is it less? I don't even know. The Aviva Stadium, I don't even know if it's.
I think the Aviva Stadium's big enough, but if you look at Northern Ireland, like what is it, Windsor Park? I think that is literally 20,000, and I know
the Aviva is 51,000.
51. Okay.
Yeah. That's massive. I want to just return to the £2.8 million that Ash just brought up again. I've just typed in on Google £2.8 million football player, and there are some interesting names that come up. Christian Stuani was signed by Middlesbrough for £2.8 million from Espanyol. Brighton bought Percy Tau from the Mamelodi Sundowns for £2.8 million. But lads, the top player that comes up when you type in £2.8 million football player, does anyone want to guess?
God,
I don't know.
Can you give us a clue? Like Premier League, Serie A?
Owen Coyle signed him
for Wanderers
for Burnley. 3-year deal, August 2009.
Kieran Trippier?
No.
Stephen Fletcher.
It's a defender, and
Ben Mee?
No, it's not. I would say this player is most famous for being at Reading for me. I would say
Reading. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Leroy Lita, surely not.
Oh, I wish.
Right, he said defender anyway.
Oh, right.
Nicky Shorey?
No, it's not. It's the one and only Andre BK.
Oh yeah.
Who is the number?
I'd never have got that if we'd been here all night.
Andre BK, the Cameroonian international. He's the current assistant manager of Spanish club UD Almeria. He made 70 appearances for Burnley, 3 goals. What a player, by the way, Andre BK. That's a bit of a throwback. A throwback. And then just 2 things from comments. Don't know what that means. Sister 19 lol online. It's just a bot. And then again, Sister 19 lol online.
Riggs Maxwell sounds like a James Bond villain, I think.
Sounds like a private investigator or something.
I've got to see Riggs Maxwell.
And then also Watson Souza sounds like that's also very James Bondy.
That's a random name generator right there.
It's a really good random name generator. Anyway, have we got anything more to say on this joint bid or not?
I think it's good. I think everyone's already said that, but
it's good. Okay.
I mean, I sort of agree with Barnes. It's not like, great with what happened after, last year, but I think maybe they're looking at it as like a way to sort of get the reputation back, I guess.
Yeah, reset that narrative.
Perhaps. And I think with like you said, even though, Republic of Ireland and maybe Wales couldn't host it like solely, tying up with England and Scotland gives them a chance to be actually a host nation, and actually gives those nations chances to have games in their countries. I appreciate they probably won't host the final, but there will be some games played there, which is obviously great.
Surely Wembley would host the final, right? You would imagine that would be.
I mean, you'd imagine, but I can't really think. I mean, the Millennium Stadium is pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Scotland, Hampden Park's a big stadium, but it's quite old, isn't it? It's probably quite difficult to. Is it to do with the categorization of them? Isn't it? They have to have a certain category to be able to host. Because they're ranked, aren't they? From is it A through to F or something like that? And then I don't know what Wembley sits at now, but because Hampden's so old, I don't know if it's safe enough to have like a major European final. I don't know. I might be completely.
It did have games in the last tournament, or it was meant to, but obviously due to COVID, that didn't happen. So I would assume that it can host it can definitely host international games.
Yeah. No, Hampden did host games, didn't it, at the Euros?
Oh yeah, just had no fans.
No, they did have fans. They just obviously just certain
limited.
capacity. Yeah.
It's like limited. I suppose that even so, I mean, they still got like Ibrox and Southwick Park are still pretty impressive, aren't they? Like on par with some of the stadiums in England. So you got the Millennium Stadium. I mean, you could probably argue, Liberty Stadium, maybe Cardiff's as well, perhaps as like one of the bigger stadiums. I don't really know. Like I said, I don't know the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, but like Chris said, what was it again, Chris? Northern Ireland's
Windsor Park.
Windsor Park, yeah. And obviously the Aviva and the ROI. So
there is a Wikipedia page for categories to stadiums, and there are 4 different categories. I'm assuming 4 is the best category. There's a fantastic grid. I'd recommend all viewers and all the boys here to read it. One of the criteria is minimum size of referee's dressing room, and for category 3 and 4 stadiums is 20 square meters. Which
why?
And then for category 1 and 2, it just says not applicable. So
basically like a Portaloo.
Changing the car.
Yeah, get changed in the car. McDonald's car park.
Yeah. And then,
does that mean like your local pitches are like technically category 1 and 2 stated according to that criteria?
Yeah, because
Gleeblands is category 1.
Yeah, so spectator standing is only allowed in category 1s. 2, 3s, and 4s, no. And then the main one here is minimum number of TV studios is also a criteria. For category 1 and 2 stadiums, you need at least 1 TV studio. And then for category 3, you need 2 TV studios. And then for category 4, you need 2 with at least 1 in view of the pitch. That's the specific criteria you need for a category 4 stadium.
That's an interesting football TV studio. It's not looking at the pitch.
Yeah, facing the car
parked outside.
Can you imagine?
Yeah,
just at Oxford, it's just like the bowling or the Hollywood Bowl, or the Frankie and
car park and the kebab van in the corner.
But it's a school day. Look at that. And we've learned about different categories of stadiums.
So, what basically, I'm assuming that most major stadiums then are like the top category. You would assume.
I would say they're category 3.
Okay, so it's definitely like what I said was completely wrong. Then it's got nothing to do with categorization. It must be to just do with capacity of the stadium, I guess. Yeah,
it's a very. I again recommend this table if anyone wants to watch it. But anyway, let's move on. Unless anyone has anything more to say on the joint bid. Going once, going twice. Okay, cool. Move on. Okay, thanks, Chris. We'll go. Get out of here. The FA Cup 4th round. Let me get my tab open. Happened over the weekend. It started off with Manchester United losing to Middlesbrough up for Chris Wilder, and it ended with another sort of big team losing out. I've got another email. God. Okay, I do need to close my emails down. Boreham Wood beating Bournemouth, which is that was a pretty big result for Boreham Wood. I think they're in Essex. I'm not sure. Maybe they're Essex. And then obviously the game that I actually watched was Forest versus Leicester. That was huge. And shout out to Ash's mate, who probably was he there? Did you say?
Yeah, he did go. Yeah.
Wow, what an atmosphere! Forest were very good that game.
He was just sending me expletives about James Maddison for 90 minutes. Not a fan.
Not a fan of James Maddison. I mean, Leicester were poor. I don't know. Did Chris and Jack watch the game? I thought Leicester were quite poor considering they're obviously the holders.
I thought that. They weren't good. I mean, you can't really take it away from Forest because I honestly think that if Leicester were even a little bit better, I still think Forest would have rolled over them. I just think that they were just, I don't know, they were just absolutely fantastic. Like so, I don't know, like so up for it. Really, like you could tell that, like, and I think they're on a bit of a roll, aren't they, Forest? I think that the manager's done a really good job there, and they've got like a decent, like, good young group. And they seem to be like doing very well. And I think it's quite weird because I've seen a few like tweets saying that sort of like Rodgers' job might be under threat at Leicester. A lot of people saying that, he's because obviously Leicester are like 10th now, aren't they? The Premier League.
Yeah.
They dropped quite, which obviously isn't bad, but considering the standards of Leicester over the last, 4 or 5 years, that's considerably low down, isn't it? Usually, because they're usually in the top sort of 5
But even I feel then they were overachieving.
Hmm.
You could argue, but
Perhaps,
is 10th
perhaps,
where
yeah.
they is 10th where they sort of are and they should be, or has the few years of overachieving given the sort of false sense of security that, oh no, Leicester should be always challenging for Europe, etc. I don't know. I think that's difficult. Where I don't know whether if you ask like maybe 10 Leicester fans, like, they might give you different answers about what the goal is. Maybe I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
It's a difficult one because I thought that Leicester sort of moved into that, like, obviously when we were younger, there was like, I call it like the Everton bracket.
Yeah.
Because like Everton, like pretty much were in the same position every year. For it probably seems longer than it was, but when I used to watch the Premier League, they always used to be just below the top, and they seem
Best
to,
of the rest type of thing. Yeah.
In the last sort of few years, Leicester have sort of been in that sort of like position, haven't they, where they've been just underneath all the others. But I don't know. I think it's a difficult one because they haven't been that great. But I don't know if it's just is it a transition period? I don't know. Like, because Vardy's obviously still great, but they haven't really yet found somebody to really take over, have they? They've got a few players in, but no one's really sort of like taken control of that position yet. But it's a difficult one. You look at some of the other managers in and around them doing quite well as well. So I don't think they'll sack him. I just think that a few fans, you could just tell that there's a little bit of like annoyance that they don't seem to be playing very well.
They've definitely dropped off, and obviously because they are 10th at the minute. So something's going on at Leicester. Just not sure whether. I think Rodgers has bought himself enough time to have a blip. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe. I think I remember last season they had a bit of. Did they bottle Europe, or did they bottled something? Didn't they? Was it Champions
League? They did it 2 seasons in a row, pretty much.
Yeah,
they was in a good position, and then
bottled it. Yeah. I don't know. I feel Rodgers has bought himself time to be in the position and not have everyone slating him. I don't know, but if you boys agree with that or not.
I think with Leicester, you got to caveat everything with this season. They've had loads and loads of injuries. I mean, I know it happens to all teams, and it can happen to anyone. But they've pretty much been playing without their 2 first-choice centre backs for most of the season. And when Sancho has played, he has been absolutely dreadful.
He looked awful
ever since the Euros, when he was really poor as well. He's just not looked the same player. They've brought Vestergaard in, which I was a bit worried about his signing when they brought him in, because he's not the most manoeuvrable, let's put it, centre back. And then now they've got Amati in, who's sort of the opposite, where he lacks a bit of presence and strength, and he's clearly a midfielder who's been put back in that position, and you can just tell that he makes bad decisions as a centre back, and he'd rather be playing further forward. But I agree with Jack. All credit to Forest. I think even if Leicester had up their game a bit, they still would have won. Sounded like a great atmosphere, and I think they fully deserved the victory there. But yeah, it was a great weekend of FA Cup action. It was definitely, considering the fixtures I thought were quite crap. Like, there was no huge tie. Like, oh, this is going to be a great game. Maybe with the exception of Leicester Forest, because it is semi-derby. But yeah, it was a great weekend, wasn't it? I suppose we should talk about the Middlesbrough, Manchester United Middlesbrough game, and that.
Where do you want to start?
Well, we got to start at that handball. No, it's 100% handball, but I think we were all happy to see that happen. For once, VAR didn't go. It was interesting actually, because we moan about VAR, but it went when it goes for the team you want it to go for. You don't care as much. And then in the Liverpool Cardiff game, it went the other way, where Liverpool got 2 marginal decisions go their way.
I thought the Kalash had been sent off. I don't know. Well, he just came flying out at whoever it was, the Cardiff striker.
It was Harris.
Yeah, it just came flying out at him, and I was like,
yeah. Well, I thought Harris should have had a penalty as well in the first half. He got the wrong side of Kanate, and all right, maybe he has been looking for it a bit, but of course, if you're a striker and obviously defenders behind you, obviously if you feel contact, you are going to go down in that. But Yeah, I think we got to mention Boreham Wood. I mean, that's just incredible, isn't it? Like a non-league side reaching the 5th round. I mean, obviously they've come in the 4th qualifying round, so they've already played a game before getting into the actual competition of the FA Cup, if you will, and going away to a Bournemouth team that they're chasing promotion back to the Premier League, and a Bournemouth squad as well that I thought they did good business on deadline day. Bournemouth, they brought Cantwell in from Norwich, got Nat Phillips, someone that was playing Champions League football last season for Liverpool.
Did they sign Rothwell or not?
They didn't sign Rothwell, but they signed.
No, I know they were going to, weren't they? I saw a bit.
No, but they signed Kiefer Moore from Cardiff, and obviously, he was doing well for Wales at the Euros. And now I know it hasn't been his best season for Cardiff this season, but he's still a striker that knows the Championship pretty well in that. But and the FA Cup's just about small stories, isn't it? I mean, I can't remember the Boreham Wood player's name, but he done an interview afterwards. He was just saying because he was on Ian Wright's documentary about 15 years ago, where Ian Wright was helping. He was helping people that come out of prison get back and help sort of whether they get back into football, help them with their lives and that. And it was a touch moment where he said thank. Well, I mean, obviously Ian Wright weren't there in person, but he thanked him on the on the television.
Yeah,
and whatnot. It's just moments like that makes the FA Cup special. And fair play, they've got a big tie in the next round away at Goodison Park against Everton. I mean, Everton looked a bit resurgent as well under Frank Lampard, and for Everton, that's a great opportunity to get into a. I mean, I don't want to sound disrespectful here to Boreham Wood because you never know, they could pull off another shock. But if you're an Everton fan, you're thinking that this is a good path to get us into a quarter final here. And now, all right, our league season hasn't been good, but if we can get a good cup run, maybe that can help with the league season, help turn our fortunes around. So
also for Frank Lampard as well, I think if he can lead Everton to the end of the FA Cup, the semi-final, maybe the final, just adds to his stock, right?
Yeah.
Considering skeptics, me amongst them, should he have even got this job? Should he have even got the Chelsea job? Things like that. So it can only do him good. Only do him good if he gets Everton, obviously past Boreham Wood and into the next rounds. And then on your story, Chris, about the small stories, I like the Kidderminster Harriers. You see the pictures of him and David Moyes.
That's fantastic.
I really liked how you could see the manager's desk in the office and you could see the assistant manager's desk, which was literally 5 times smaller than the manager's desk. It was tiny.
You see the wheels at the bottom.
So bad. I was just come on. No equality there at Kidderminster Harriers for the assistant manager. But sorry, carry on, Chris, if you had anything more to say.
Yeah. Too far. I don't think there's much more to say. I think I agree with Barnes. When the draw first happened for the 4th round, it was a bit like Barnes said, other than Leicester, Forest, and obviously Kidderminster versus West Ham, there weren't any. You just thought especially the bigger teams, they thought they was going to steamroll other teams, but you got to give credit to Kidderminster, you got to give credit to Plymouth as well. Plymouth going away to Stamford Bridge and taking a game to Chelsea. I know I was watching Match Day Saturday night, and the pundits on there were saying a lot of Premier League teams don't go to Stamford Bridge and play the way Plymouth did. Plymouth were.
I watched half that game. Plymouth were really good. They actually were. They deserved their goal. And I mean, all right. Chelsea did have I think they said Chelsea had 40 odd shots throughout the game. And obviously, that was going to happen. Obviously, with the way Plymouth played, but you get credit to them for giving it a good go, going away against the European champions and taking the game to them. I mean, like I said, that's just the magic of the FA Cup. It's just great to see these lower league clubs take it to the Premier League clubs and give them a real good run for their money. Yeah. Ash, early prediction for the FA Cup winners 2022.
Manchester City.
Jack, your early bar prediction for the FA Cup winners of 2022.
I'm going to go something a bit I'm going to go Tottenham Hotspur.
Interesting.
No.
Just because they've got the manager now that can just a serial winner, and they're sort of doing their like job in the dark a little bit. Spurs, like
Yeah.
they are playing much better, and I think they are getting noticed, but I think people aren't. There's not that much pressure for them. It's almost like this thing with Spurs that they're expected to cock it up at some point. So there's no like loads of pressure like there is with United. Oh, we've got to win something. We have to win something because we won Man United. Spurs haven't got that. They've had so many years of not winning anything that they like. And now there's like no pressure on them. So I think it could work in their favour a little bit.
I think you're right. There's a bit of a weird thing around Spurs where everyone's just kind of forgotten about them and forgotten that there is a big job there, and Conte's just been able to get on with it. You talk about managers that are like, when they come in, just let them get on with the job and they'll do something. And Conte kind of is being left to it. Like obviously, like Rangnick is always just in the papers and in the media. He can never do anything right. And same for like Klopp when he moans about grass length and stuff like that. But Conte's sort of flying under the radar.
And he's such a good manager to like one of the best in that like position. And like considering you hardly hear about the manager at all.
Yeah.
Like you said with United, like it's in every other newspaper about Rangnick and who he's fallen out with this week and who's not training and who wants to leave and left, right, and centre. And like you said with Klopp, it's the referee's not good enough, the grass isn't long enough, it's not sunny enough. The balls aren't pumped up to the right PSI. It's something's not right.
There's not enough TV studios facing.
It's rated sideways.
Yeah, it's sideways. And Chris, who is your FA Cup? No, I've not that up. Who's your early Bath FA Cup winners prediction 2022? Is it Man City or is it Spurs or is it someone else?
I was tempted to be boring and say Man City, but to spice things up, I'll go for it. I'll say Chelsea. I think
you're going to be less boring and choose Chelsea.
Yeah, that's not really spiced out, Chris. I was hoping for someone like
boring. He's chosen Chelsea.
Yeah, well, I was tempted to say Man City as well, but it's kind of like, well, spice it up. See which one of us gets it right. With the prediction king keeps his crown.
What about Norwich, Chris? You love Norwich. They're still in it.
You never know. You never know. Josh Sargent, masterclass.
He's just called himself the prediction king. Wow, he said it with his full chest. I kind of respect that.
Yeah,
that's only going one way.
Someone clip that.
I got Cisco first sacked, right?
You did. You know your stuff about football, don't you, Chris? You know a little. It's like
I like to think I do. I like to think I do, but
fantastic.
Where you know?
Well, you have got to see. I also did like the whole Dele Alli thing about. I don't know. He got like unveiled as a player at the weekend, and people were just like saying he's dressed really poorly. What a joke! That's why he's so bad. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't know dress sense was like an indicator of footballing abilities. People would just people would drag a player through the mud for or just give excuses or whatever it is to players for no reason, like Pogba's haircut. Dele Alli's wearing a beanie hat or something. It's just makes me laugh. I don't know if Dele Alli takes it seriously.
I thought Glenn Hoddle as well, making those comments. Come on, get behind the player. I mean, all right, you might not have the dress sense that I wouldn't dress like Dele Alli dressed, but I ain't gonna go on social media or come on here and be like, oh, what is Dele Alli doing? Why is he dressed like that? Let the talking on the pitch. Let his football do the talking and that. I mean,
to be fair, he's not done that much talking, but yeah, as you say, Glenn Hoddle's a meat and two veg kind of guy, isn't he? I feel.
Yeah.
Cheers, Glenn.
I don't know if it was made worse by the fact that Van der Beek was wearing the most like it would look like he was attending a funeral. I don't know. He had that it was all black and it was the most depressing. I don't know. I know it's just an unveiling. It's cold, so I get the coat, but it just there was completely opposites. And I think that made Dele Alli stick out more because of what Van der Beek was wearing.
It did. It made Donny Van der Beek look like he'd escorted famous superstar Dele Alli out, and he was unveiling him, and he was just there.
It just matched who I think Van der Beek's dress sense just matched exactly how I think he is as a person. I just think he's really quiet, just in the corner, just knocks on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's door. Can I play? Ole goes, no. Okay, fine. I won't play. It's okay. It's okay. But any more on the FA Cup fourth round? No, fantastic. We'll move on swiftly to let's just do managerial appointments because it's well, I think Lynchy of who hasn't been on for a while coined the phrase IBS, International Break Syndrome, or just this is just like sort of the weird winter break syndrome where managers would get sacked, and there's been quite a few sackings. Barnes, you want to talk about Steve Bruce? He's back.
He's back.
He's
The
back,
boy's
baby.
back.
Big Bruce is back.
And again, we're all worried about Steve Bruce. And I must say, despite being, we're all fans of Steve Bruce, the man, but Steve Bruce, the manager, worries me. Why have West Brom appointed Steve Bruce? Why? Like, what went through their mind? That, you know what we need is a bit of a good PR. We need to change our system. Get Bruce in. Like, what I don't understand is what is West Brom's long-term thinking? Like, sure, even if Steve Bruce does manage to get them up, let's face it, he's got a decent record in the Championship, even though with Villa it didn't go so well because if you remember, Dean Smith ended up getting them promoted rather than Bruce. But yeah, what is their plan? They get into the Premier League. Surely they're going to have exactly the same problems that Newcastle have had over the last
every single
seasons.
Premier League team managed by Steve Bruce would have.
Exactly, and you just know exactly how it's going to go. I imagine there will be a short-term benefit, and I don't think they will go up because I think there's better teams in the Championship. But I think Steve Bruce will turn their form around. But I just don't. There's so many young, promising managers you could get. You could even go down to like League One, lower levels of the Championship, even League Two, like Rob Edwards from Forest Green or someone like that. Just get someone. What I just don't understand. Get Steve Bruce. But the thing, one more thing I'd say on it is that fans of it's not just West Brom fans, but all fans. I don't think West Brom fans are too happy about the Bruce appointment. Not to speak for all of them, but in general. But why do fans like whenever a manager who's not managed in division before be like, "Oh, he's not managed in division before. I don't know if he can do the step up." Yeah, if it was a player, like say you were signing League One's like top player, like Blackpool want to sign Cameron Brannigan, and they sign him like, magnificent signing. That's brilliant. He's gonna come straight in. But if you sign like a manager from League One, it's like, oh no, they've never managed at the level before. They're not going to be good enough. So I just don't understand the Bruce appointment at all. But good luck to him. Hope he does well.
Good luck. I've just looked. I'm just trying to find an article where it was the odds for the next West Brom manager just before Steve Big Brucey was appointed. But the 6 names that I have here are Steve Bruce, John Terry, Michael Appleton, Mick McCarthy, Roy Keane, and Neil Warnock. The list is not great.
Michael Appleton is the most sensible out of those, job. I would say. Yeah, based on his performances at Lincoln, especially.
And Oxford, and he was the West Brom
assistant manager.
He was, and he's part of their because we obviously got Kamal Reeve pretty much through Michael Appleton. I'm pretty sure, didn't we, at the time? But I don't know. It always comes back to the same names, doesn't it? And on, I don't know if you boys have any more thoughts on West Brom and their misgivings with Steve Bruce. I don't want to say misgivings.
I think it was a strange one, just for a little bit that. There's an element of history with Bruce and Birmingham City.
He loves it though, doesn't he?
And Aston Villa as well.
Like, he loves it.
I mean, he's pretty much done the Midlands.
He just needs to do Wolves and Warsaw, and he's done the full set.
Yeah.
I mean, I sort of agree with Barnes. I think that it is slightly stupid the method that they don't give somebody a chance in the lower divisions. But I looked at West Brom's squad, and it is a very Steve Bruce squad. It's not a squad that you would want to build a footballing team with. Not to be disrespectful, but it's like they signed Andy Carroll as a free agent, and they've got I don't know if they still got Zahore up front. And it's just you look at the sort of team. It's a very like sort of knock over the top and run onto it sort of team and whip the balls into the box. It's not a sort of tiki taka sort of team. So I think. In that respect, I think it's not a bad appointment because it's a sort of style of play that Bruce can work with. And I think that's maybe why they haven't gone down the young manager trying to change the entire identity of the team. But it'll be interesting to see. I sort of agree with Barnes as well. I don't think they're going to go up because I think they're on a terrible run, hence why the manager got sacked. And I just don't know if they've got the firepower I think they're one of the lowest scorers, aren't they, in the top 5 or top 6? They haven't
Yeah,
scored
they got
many
that
goals
Daryl
at all.
DK, but I'm pretty sure he came from, was it the MLS, and then he got injured
Yeah.
straight away.
Yeah.
Also interesting on West Brom, I think they're like the team that's underperformed their XG the most in like the
Ooh,
whole
let's talk
championship,
XG.
which means they've been pretty unlucky, and that kind of makes me think that maybe Ishmael was slightly unlucky to be given the sack, given that he's, like you said, Jack, brought a lot of these players in to play a certain way, and then they've sacked him. It's a bit of a surprise for me.
Well, the thing is, it's not the first time that West Brom have sacked a manager in the playoffs, is it? Because I remember a couple of seasons ago that they had Darren Moore, and they sacked him, but then they didn't have a plan after they sacked him. It's like, well, we'll give it Jimmy Shan to the end of the season, and they lost to Villa in the playoff semis. I mean, obviously it worked up the season after because that's when they brought Slaven Bilic, and obviously he did take them up to the Premier League. But then, like you said, Barnes, it was pretty much West Brom, rinse and repeat, boing to the Premier League, boing back down to the Championship. Obviously saying the boing because obviously they do the old boing boing baggy things.
Oh, very good, Chris. Very good.
But yeah, like I said, like Steve Bruce. I mean, obviously we're all big fans of Steve Bruce the man on this podcast, but yeah, like just as Midland's background would worry me if I was a West Brom fan. It's like, well, he's managed both Birmingham and Aston Villa, but you also look at like other clubs he's managed. He's managed both Newcastle and Sunderland, and he's also managed both Sheffield clubs. It's like, well, I don't want to sound horrible here, but clearly the man doesn't have any loyalty whatsoever. Like he's willing to manage, rival teams that he's, managed before, and that, and like whether the squad, like like obviously it does sound like I'm writing him off here, but like Jim said, you never know. It is a squad that might suit him. Obviously worked with Andy Carroll at Newcastle for a few seasons. Whether he might get the best out of Andy Carroll, you never know. But I think I would have agreed with Barnes that they probably should have looked to, or even like someone like Neil Critchley. Like he's doing a great job with Blackpool. As much as we've ridiculed Blackpool for their pursuit of Cameron Brannigan on this podcast and on Twitter and that, Neil Critchley's done a brilliant job with Blackpool. Like from where they were, like obviously under the Oyston ownership and that, to where they are now. Like he's done a brilliant job, and even like Mark Robbins at Coventry, like absolutely incredible what he's done at Coventry City, like taking them from sort of like the depths of League Two all the way up. And I know they have had a bit of a wobble, and they now sit outside the playoffs. But even that, like for Coventry, like that's massively overachieving for Coventry at the minute, considering like the budget they have compared to other teams in the Championship. So it is interesting that they have gone for one of the familiar. I was going to say dinosaurs, but it's kind of like,
we can say that.
Yeah, you can say that, Chris. It's fine.
Yeah, I can't be that rude, but they've gone from a safe, well, maybe not a safe choice, but
it's one off the managerial merry-go-round, isn't it? The normal usual suspects.
Yeah. And I'll touch quickly on the Sunderland job as well. Roy Keane's odds-on favourites to take on the Sunderland role ahead of, I think, Grant McCann, Neil Warnock again, obviously. But just want to very quickly talk about Sunderland, who are a massive club, obviously, and they're in the playoffs. They're doing really well. They obviously sacked Lee Johnson. Bit of an interesting one, but Roy Keane, is it 2007 again? Are we expecting? I'm half expecting Michael Chopra and Nyron Nosworthy to play in League One at some point, but I don't know.
Rod Stewart pull out that.
Rod Stewart, and then just Kieran Richardson just appears somewhere. I don't know. It's an odd one with Sunderland. I don't know why they sacked Lee Johnson. Maybe he did rile him up. Probably. I think there was a bit of beef between him and the fans. Potentially, I seem to remember. But Sunderland looking towards established names and looking in the past very much so. Looking so much in the past that they're getting a manager they had literally 12 years ago or however long ago it was. Yeah. So that's an interesting one. But anyway, we'll very quickly do Premier League stuff. Very quickly. we sort of talked earlier today, return to the Premier League and this weekend, but technically it did return last weekend with Burnley Watford. I didn't even know what the score was until about an hour ago when Chris actually mentioned it, because Chris unfortunately watched this game, and I saw this on live score, when looking at the fixtures. Like, I have no interest in watching that game. No offense, I have absolutely no interest. But Chris watched it. Thoughts?
It was an awful game.
Okay, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I really don't think we can say more.
I mean, obviously, with Watford being the away team, you'd be a lot happier if you were a Watford fan. But
yeah,
from a neutral point of view, dearie me. It was like watching two mid-table championship teams go at each other. Like, it just wasn't a very good game. I mean, obviously, like, there was new signings on show. I mean, Weghorst, it's kind of one of the things that he was over trying, if you will, and he was looking to try and score his first goal, and that, like, he was trying too hard, if you will.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I don't really know what to say about the game. Like,
you don't have to say anything more, Chris. You really don't.
The cycling goalkeeper had a good game. That's what I'm going to finish with.
Fellow podcaster Ben Foster, Jack and Ash, do you have anything to say on Premier League stuff before we end for today?
Go on, Jack.
Not really. I don't really have anything. I didn't really watch the. I didn't watch the game, the Burnley Watford game.
You didn't.
If there was a game that was going to be 0-0, it was going to be that game. I think there was just. I don't know. It's just got this 0-0 written all over it, hasn't it?
I think that is Watford's first clean sheet in quite a while. So Roy Hodgson's made an instant impact on the team.
Absolute masterclass from the old pigeon.
I'm trying to figure out if this is a clean sheet situation. Wow, this website, FB Ref, I thought would help me out a lot more than that, but it hasn't said anything. So I'm not be able to find. I can't find out that fact for you, Ash. I'm really sorry.
Well, take it from me. That's their first clean sheet in a while.
You have my word. That's a fact. Anyway, that's all that I wanted to talk about today. Anything else that you boys wanted to chat about in the final minutes that we have on the Early Bar Football podcast today?
What a win for Oxford on Saturday!
What a win for Oxford! Let's talk about Oxford.
I mean, Cameron Brannigan, like, we got to hold our hands up and say we are very lucky to have a special player at Oxford like him. He is absolutely, like, the goal he scored on Saturday was incredible, and Nathan Holland's goal as well. That gave me real Kemar Roof vibes.
It really did, didn't it?
And that,
really did.
Like, just outside the box, like scoring a 96. Was it 96th minute winner?
90 plus 6.
Yeah. Like, just absolutely incredible, and just to beat Ronan Curtis as well. Just absolutely love it. Absolutely. He's probably gone down. He's probably heard this comment and gone down.
Oh no,
that's the type of player he is. But
yeah.
Incredible win for the Ox. I can't wait to watch them in 2 weeks' time at Charlton.
Yeah, it'll be good. Charlton away will be very good. But with just on Brannigan very quickly, I was kind of half expecting him to be a bit unsettled after all the transfer rumours. When there's the whole transfer thing and a player's a bit unsettled and doesn't play very well. But he's absolutely smashed it. Like, scored the 4 penalties the week before, scored a really good goal, and he's this week came out and said he never wanted to leave, loved the club. I'd be in the crowd if I wasn't on a yellow card and things like that. So that's really refreshing to hear from a footballer from League One. And League One, League One's sort of that weird middle space where if you get a big offer from a championship club, whatever, like, that's your life sorted potentially in terms of like a financial sense. They don't earn massive amounts of money. Not I wouldn't say it's life changing, but it's a decent amount. But it's an interesting one. Does anyone else have anything to say? It doesn't have to be Oxford. Even though we are the greatest team in the world. Okay, fab. Anyway, we'll call it there. But thank you very much for everyone that watched, and for those who are watching on YouTube, not live, but watching this back. Please be sure to please be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're still on 67. We need to push for 75. We really do. Boys, I'm going to give you some homework to try and think of some marketing techniques to get to 75 followers. I don't know how we're going to do it. If it's just...
I'll watch The Apprentice this week and see what they do.
Yeah, so we need
How
we need
about
at
give
least.
away your Sevilla shirts, Tingers.
Oh, we could do. I mean, I don't know who would want it. I don't know who would want it.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
Who wants it?
Put up for auction.
Yeah, but I'd have to pay someone to take it off me.
Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, try and get some people to subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. We do have fun doing this. It is a lot of fun. So yeah, like and subscribe and follow. But that's it from me. So it's waving goodbye from the Bath Boys, and we'll see you probably next week because Monday seems to be our jam at the minute. But maybe later in the week. Who knows? Okay, goodbye.